All right, I want everybody to picture this. It's 1977, last day of school. Kids are sitting in their classrooms waiting for the clock to ring so they can go home. The bell rings, and then this song comes on as they run out of the class.
Come on, the kids want a little action. The kids want a little fun. The kids all have to get their kicks before the evening's done.
It's incredible. It was made for that scene. It's High School by MC5 off their 1970 album Back in the USA. It's also number 446 out of 500 on the Spotify original, The 500, with Josh Adam Myers. What is up, Fleece Army? How you bunch of schmoogly doogly katooglies doing? Thank you for joining me again on the only podcast that's going through Rolling Stone Magazine's list of the 500 greatest albums, starting at 500, working our way down to 1. We're at 446, man. Dude, that's a lot of music we've been listening to. And this is one of those albums that gets you in your kachunka. Thanks to all the people doing the Instagram stories. I love you guys. Keep doing it, man. Take a screenshot of how you're listening to the 500 and tag me at Josh Adam Myers and put a hashtag the 500 podcast and put that up on your Instagrammy stories and give us that 24-hour ad. Thank you to everybody that sent me birthday wishes. I'm 40, man. I know I look like I'm 60, but I'm 40, dude. Feels good. My knee hurts a little bit, but I feel good. Best my life has ever been, and a lot of that has to do with all of you. You guys are incredible. I love every one of you guys. I say it every week, but I mean it, man. This is so much fun to listen to this music and talk about it with incredible people. So, thank you to Spotify. Thank you to JT. Thank you to Morty. Thank you to Pete. Thank you to Avery. Thank you to everybody, Emily, everybody that's helping out with this podcast, man, and helping make this real, Because I would have known MC5, but I only would have known Kick Out the Jams. I would have never known High School. I would have never known Looking at You or any of the other songs on the record. So it's dope, man. All right, you guys want to find out a little bit about the record? All right. Released on January 17th in 1970 on Atlantic Records and produced by rock critic and future Bruce Springsteen manager and producer Jon Landau. This is the second album, but debut studio album by the American proto-punk hard rock band MC5. MC5 stood for Motor City 5, which was a salute to the band's Detroit roots. MC5 was formed in Lincoln Park, Michigan in 1964, with Rob Tyner on vocals, Wayne Kramer and Fred Sonic Smith on guitars, bassist Michael Davis, and drummer Dennis Thompson. They were a garage rock band with militant, leftist, and fiercely anti-establishment leanings. Musically, they were in contrast with their era's hippie peace and love ethos by paying homage to rock and roll's earlier, more dangerous roots, and also to the free jazz movement by explorative artists like John Coltrane and Sun Ra. By 1966, the teenage group became the house band at Detroit's historic Grand Ballroom, and were managed by John Sinclair, the Flint, Michigan jazz poet, writer, and political activist. They became a part of Sinclair's Trans Love Commune, and under his guidance, the band embraced the revolutionary politics of the Youth International Party, or Yippies, and the Trans Love Commune morphed into the White Panthers, a military, anti-racist, socialist group of white people who supported the Black Panthers' mission for protection and equality for black people. Sinclair described the band's goal as a total assault on the culture by any means necessary, including rock and roll, dope, guns, and fucking in the streets. Their live shows were legendary, and the expectations for the MC5 were so high that before they had even had a record out, they were featured on the cover of the January '69 issue of Rolling Stone. After signing with Elektra Records in February of 1969, the band put out the live album Kick Out the Jams in an attempt to capture the high energy of those live shows. The album opens with the title song, but before they even started playing music, singer Rob Tyner says, "Kick out the jams, motherfuckers." Even though Elektra Records had edited a version of that intro, that got the record banned from many retail stores and contributed to them getting dropped by Elektra. As the notoriety and excitement of the band was pushing the record up the charts, they were without a deal. And in '69, John Sinclair was arrested for a drug bust, which helped to free the band from his overt political puppet strings, and they were scooped up by Atlantic Records. The band worked on their musicianship and then went into the studio with ex-Rolling Stone writer and first-time producer John Landau, who took over their management. Some hardcore fans thought they had sold out because Back in the USA was a too-polished garage pop record that flew by under a half an hour. Although it flopped and stalled on the charts at 137, it's gone on to be considered a worthy distillation of what made the MC5 so great. Back in the USA would be the second of the band's 3 albums before they split up in '72 in a haze of drugs and acrimony after 1971's High Time. And in 1975, both guitarist Wayne Kramer and bassist Michael Davis spent a few years in prison for independent drug-related arrests. All the members of the band continued to make music with varying degrees of success. Sadly, vocalist Rob Tyner passed away in 1991, and guitarist Fred Sonic Smith in 1994. The surviving members formed DKT/MC5 and were active from 2003 until bassist Michael Davis died in 2012. Last year, Wayne Kramer celebrated the 50th anniversary of the first album with a tribute concert tour called the MC50. The legacy of MC5, both musically and through their politically conscious spirit, is notable in bands like The Clash, Rage Against the Machine, Bad Brains, and The White Stripes, as well as damn near every other punk rock group that ever existed after them. And today, my guest is one of the funniest people I know, my good friend Adam Ray. You've seen him on Mad TV, the movie The Heat. You've seen him on American Vandal on Netflix, and he's currently the voice of Swiftwind on She-Ra and the Princess of Power on Netflix. Maybe you've heard him on his incredible podcast, About Last Night, with my boy Brad Williams. This was a fun episode because Adam knew about the MC5, but he had never really dug into them. So both of us were kind of discovering them together. Rate, review, and most importantly, subscribe to the 500 and listen free on Spotify or anywhere you get your pods. Follow me on all social media at Josh Adam Myers and email the podcast at 500podcast@gmail.com. And for all things 500, go to our website, the500podcast.com. Well, guys, nothing left to say but here we go with number 446 out of 500. We're Back in the USA by MC5. Adam Ray, he's Adam Ray, Adam Ray, he's Adam Ray, Adam Ray. You're not going to join in? You're just going to...
I was waiting. I didn't know if this was your thing. Keep going. Here, I was waiting. I had a harmony all ready to go.
He's Adam Ray, Adam Ray, he's Adam Ray, Adam Ray, he's Adam Ray.
Oh, that was like a little cantor-ish at the end. By the way, nothing more narcissistic than harmonizing your own name.
I mean, it's great. Here, take this piece of matzah. I was the cantor.
Shabbat shalom.
You brought the cantor. I tried to take the riff to the next level.
I know, dude. Well, there's a part of every young Jewish boy that wants to sing at their own bar mitzvah.
All right, so you weren't a big fan of MC5,
no.
Right?
Well, so my connection to it, and you asked me that off air, and it's funny that, because look, there's so much music and there's so many bands and groups, and there's a lot that I feel like I've heard of that I haven't. That somebody then will go, oh, you know this song, and I go, oh, that's them.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm not, and I joke about it in my act too. I'm not good with songs and lyrics. Like, I get into a tune because of the melody. I got that whole stupid "Color Me Bad, I Want to Sex You Up" joke, and but it's true. So but with MC5, I had a buddy's dad, Len Lacasse, and he would play. He wanted to kind of educate us on new music, and so every time we'd carpool from Little League and soccer practice, because my folks split when I was 9, so I didn't have a lot of rights. Thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah,
and so.
Oh, stop, dude.
Divorce comedy. And so he was always just big on like wanting to show us new music, and he like got off on the fact that he knew all these bands that we didn't know. So he'd be like, "You guys know these guys?" And we're like, "No." He's like, "Oh." And so, by the way, he introduced me to Hootie and the Blowfish.
What?
Yeah. I think in the same week as MC5,
He's
which
like,
that was a
"Here,
good week.
Listen to Kick Out the Jams, and now put on this one. Sometimes you're crazy.
He's like, look,
when I wonder
I got a
why.
rear crack view, but I can see in the background, and it looks like little MC5's coming up on the tail.
Did you connect with MC5 when he was playing it?
I did, and here's why I connected with it. It was, first of all, I love, and I have buddies all the way from, first grade that would bug me because I like this is why I was probably so into Raffi. I like fucking upbeat, feel good, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even Hanson struck a chord at some point.
Wait, we're glossing over you're a big Raffi fan?
Was.
It still is?
Dude, down by the bay where the watermelon grows.
I don't know any of those. I don't, but I just know Raffi is like.
What is
isn't
it?
he like,
Is it down
he's
by
like
the
a-
bay, down where the watermelon grows? Back to my home, I dare not go. For if I do, my mama would say, "Do you ever take a pill when you're sitting on the down by the bay?"
He just skipped over a whole.
It was always something. Have you ever? That was always his, like, insert new. Have you ever?
Yeah.
And then it would be like, down by the. So there got to a point in elementary school would be like, have you ever picked your nose and rubbed it on your teacher while she wasn't looking? Down by the. We thought that shit was hilarious.
That's great.
But so he played MC5 on a day where I scored. Soccer was never my sport. Basketball was always the thing, and then played baseball and football. It was, casually football, but
But your parents always wanted you to play soccer.
Yeah, and I loved
'cause
it. And
It's
it's
the
like-
least violent sport.
for sure. And so many buddies play, and it was also, being a fat kid, they're like, this is probably where you can get the most cardio, And then I ended up being goalie for a while.
Of
so
course.
fucking, of course. But I was a great dude. It was like, I remember one of my buddies said once, he goes, when I missed a ball mid-game, he goes, just pretend it's pizza, you'll catch it. So funny. Like, to say that, and so I scored on my own team that day, which was devastating because it's like not even my sport, so then I fucking fuck up.
Yeah.
And I remember running the sidelines and seeing another one of the dads, won't say his name, but I go to the sidelines and he just goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" By the way, I'm 10. I'm like, I don't know, man, I'm 10.
You're supposed to treat the ball like pizza. You eat it. You don't throw it away.
And in
You
my-
eat the pizza.
In my defense, it was a good shot. I was trying to kick it to the sidelines, and it just sliced around my buddy who was goalie, and I saw him in slow-mo try to dive and catch it, and I'm just like, I remember looking at the sidelines, seeing all his parents going, "Fuck, no." And it goes in, and we lost 2-1.
Pizza. It's pizza.
You won't get ice cream now. And so after the game, we're driving back, and he put on MC5, and so that's why when you sent me this, I was like, dude, I have a crazy first time hearing it.
Yeah.
And the high school song was so, like, I think we listened to the album on the drive, and it was also one of those things where it was like so quiet because he'd made one comment before we got in, being like, "Fucking can be scored on us," and I was just like, "Again, you're a dad, I'm a kid. What are you doing? You're shaping the esteem."
They did one of those things where they got in the car. They're like, "Wait, we got to wait for Adam," and you'd reach for the handle, and they drive off a little bit.
Yeah. So it, so hearing the like, it's good, it's good,
Took you back,
sis
dude.
boom ba, took me back, and I love a good sis boom ba, and so I, but again, I love the that style, that feel good, like, I don't know, sweet chord progressions, and like the harmonies are great, and like I just track for track, man, it's just like every song has a way of having their own unique sound, but like feeling completely different, and I don't know, it caught me at a time when I was feeling so down,
Yeah.
and it kind of like immediately picked me up. So it was like scoring my own team. Yeah, I felt bad about that, but then immediately I was kind of like, oh man, these tunes are really doing the trick, which
Sure.
is like the beauty of music,
Sure.
right?
Oh, 100%. But before we get into this week's episode, let's talk a little bit about Sonos for the holidays. If you're wondering what to get your friends and family for the holidays, or you just want to have that holiday party blowing up kashblukid, the brilliant sound of Sonos is the answer for you. Play all your favorite holiday jams with a new home theater system. I put Sonos into my life about a little under a year ago, and it's made everything better. I have speakers in every room. I've got the subwoofer, so there's that woof. I've got the Sonos Move, which is incredible because you can move the speaker wherever you want, and it sounds better than every other portable speaker on the market. It's insane. The clarity, the bass, I love it. Plus, they've got speech enhancement mode. It's a new, unique feature that clarifies the sound of the human voice. Perfect for when characters whisper on television or if the action intensifies. Turn it on in the Sonos app and never miss a moment of the story. Or play all your favorite holiday jams when the TV is off. And guess what? Sonos works with Spotify and all the other streaming services. And you can also wirelessly connect all your speakers to create your perfect sound system. It's the perfect gift, the gift of crystal clear sound. Go to Sonos.com to complete your holiday shopping. And now, back to the Geshpluki. All right, so let's dive into our record. Our album is 446 out of 500. It's the debut studio album. It's the second record, but the first studio album. Back in the USA by MC5, released January 15th, 1970. Produced by a name that's popped up here a few times, John Landau. You guys might remember him.
What did he direct? Mac and Me?
No. I know, because there's a producer named John Landau that worked with like James Cameron. But this is actually the producer and longtime manager of Bruce Springsteen. So you listened to this record a long time ago, and now
it's extra special too because I was telling you off air, and
Yeah.
and not to get
Please.
down and sappy, but so a really good friend of mine passed away maybe 3 days ago, tragically falling off a roof. Never had a seizure, fell off the roof, hit his head on concrete. His dad ran out, heard him, saw him fall, then held him as he died, which is just
that's horrible.
Yeah, you can't even process it, first of all, because you're just like, I mean, I don't even, there's certain ways of, all the tragic ways of dying, you just think of I don't know, shark eating, drowning, falling off a roof, I've never, so you're just and then part of you goes to what the fuck were you doing on roofs,
Yeah.
What do you help, but he's helping his folks out, and anyway, this is one of my dearest, closest friends I've known since kindergarten. Had so many laughs together, he was like I was telling you, you need in comedy when you're getting going, unbeknownst to you as you're starting to find that this is maybe a path you're going to take. Those people that make you laugh just as much as you make them laugh, they're good yes men, but they also, they start to shape your comedy. And we just we were so kind of just in sync on so many things. And then recently, reconnected even more because he wanted to jump into comedy. He was such a big fan. I was telling you, he had seen the Jam so many times, watched all the Jam on Comedy Central, and so he was going to jump into. He did 3 open mics, and so because he was having some life changes and with things with his wife, and he's got a 6-year-old daughter, and he was just crushing the dad game too. And anyway, so the timing of you sending me this album, it's again all kind of crazy how
life works.
Yeah, and just the timing of things, because I've been so confused on how to grieve, because again had grandparents pass, a friend in the 8th grade, which is just so young, you don't even know that people can die at that age, and so this album is so again just I don't know, I feel like I start smiling, and he was known for his smile, and he even said to me 3 days ago, or a couple of days before he passed, he was like, I got to take a stab at stand-up, man, because he's literally my favorite part about life is making people smile. I mean, I'm like, do you know you were going to die? Why are you trying to be so profound?
Yeah.
He just was, but he just loved this comedy that much and was like, I got to see if I can just try to be a part of it. That's how much he loved it. And so that's what I'm trying to take away too from, obviously there's the cliche, cherish every moment. Because the grieving, I feel like it's going to come and go, and getting sad and trying to find things to, on stage, the first show after, dude, it was electric, and I was fucking almost crying, screaming up in the air at the end when people were just when I was getting them hyped up at the end of the set, but trying to find things to pull from him and to honor him, but also, I'm like, well, the way he was jumping into it, I'm like, well, maybe I need to be more fearless on stage. I need to do what he was doing right out of the gate, and the way he was living his life too, and the way he treats people. I'm like, I can pull from those. I think that's an immediate way to try to honor the person and keep them a part of you all the time, right?
Yeah.
But again, to this album, it was the timing of it was perfect because it's just a struggle to find some joy because I just couldn't help yet focus on the how awful it was.
Yeah.
And even though my first memories was of hearing it in the car from Lynn Lacasse being like, you fucking idiot, I can't believe you scored on your own fucking team. Are you eating snacks back there?
I hope you get a McNugget burn, you fat fuck.
good luck dipping Pop-Tarts in Cool Whip tonight. And so the timing of it was just like such an uplift that I needed.
And it's an uplifting album. I mean,
is.
which is funny because I was expecting Rage Against the Machine. This record was not that.
No.
It was fantastic. It's a fantastic record. I mean, this is 30 minutes of fun, but it's like, I think all the stuff that I thought I was going to get for them, it wasn't. But just to go along with what you're saying, it definitely put me in a good mood.
Yeah.
It definitely, I was putting on when I was driving. I was putting on at the airport, which kind of made, that a little bit more enjoyable because, you just start looking at people and you seeing a guy walk on beat and you're like,
and he turns and looks at you and just goes, this boom ba, and like lip syncs with it. And you're like, how did you know that's
how
the
did you
part?
know? He goes, I'm inside your mind. And I was like, really? Well, can I get early access?
Give me that Delta Lounge,
can
baby.
you give me something, please?
This is my jam, dude.
Any album that has a song called Tutti Frutti,
come on,
your fucking young fat ass would love this shit. All right, let's dive into the record. So I just said Tutti Frutti. That's the opening song. Peter, play the intro for me.
Bum bum a lum bum a lum bum bum tutti frutti, oh Rudy, tutti frutti, oh Rudy, tutti frutti, oh Rudy, tutti frutti, oh Rudy.
The album opens with a 1.5-minute hypercharged Little Richard cover.
Right.
Such a great song.
Yeah.
Very iconic. I use that word a lot, but that's the only way to explain it. Tutti Frutti, I associated with Little Richard. The first thing that I noticed on this record is that there's almost no audible bass, and it's very thin.
Yeah.
It's like this song is rocking, but there's no like thump to it.
It does, and you feel like it does miss it a little bit, right? You want
Yeah.
a little, like, I feel like every track could be assisted.
I'm
a
a bass boy.
I know.
Love the bass.
Yeah.
I did love this song because it's about a flavor.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like coffee toffee on schlaffy, coffee toffee.
Orange Dream Machine, oh yeah. Razzmatazz, oh yeah. Jamba Juice could really take a fucking note from Little Richard. If Little Richard was still alive and he did Jamba Juice commercials, like,
oh, he'd kill it, dude.
oh my God.
So Little Richard was a huge inspiration to this band. Who was your first inspiration?
Oh man, musically?
Yeah.
I guess,
well, just in life
anything.
and to get you to where you are now.
Wow, dude. I mean, look, I'm a big Muppet fan. Jim Henson was probably I'd say Chris Farley, Jim Henson, Sinbad, because it was the first stand-up I ever saw. My dad showed me, was obsessed. And Jim Henson, it was just so, I guess because I knew that I had this creative bone in my body, and I was seeing someone do something that was just so bonkers and creating from just out of no, there was no pre-Muppet thing. It wasn't based on anything. So he was just clearly, it was all coming from his mind, and that was so like eye-opening and just like overwhelmingly like I was in awe of just that, but it was inspiring because it was like, as cliche as it sounds, like the whole anything's possible that KG screamed out when the Celtics won. It's like wow, like it truly is, because this guy, and I got so interested in his background and how he even got to it, because you see people that get that successful and you're like, oh yeah, he probably had all those Muppets just in his closet, pulled them out, was like, this is the Muppet Show, and
grab me Snuffleupagus.
yeah. No, dude, it's like it all had to fucking build up.
Yeah.
Same thing when you see like Seinfeld, you're like, oh, sure, he was great from the get-go, or, and some of these guys, they all had, something extra special from the get-go.
Yeah.
But like a vision, and it was like, it all registered with me at an early age of like, oh man, this guy fucking sees the world differently and is trying to do something different. And and he had these quotes even where he was like, that always stuck with me, man. That was, I want to leave the world a little different for me having been there, And I was like, even as a fucking kid, I mean, again, I'm like fucking probably, crossing up my chocolate-covered dip bars, just fucking shoving them in my gullet, being like, I want to leave the world differently too. Maybe make my own dip bar, And so that really struck a chord, and then comedy-wise, again, Sinbad and Farley, and guys that just were fearless, you know, and that were doing something so that I felt like I was seeing the only one of that,
I can agree 100% on the Muppets. I mean, that was one of my earliest memories, was watching the Muppet Show at my Bubby's house.
So funny too. It's like there was so much adult humor looking back, and it was like, just I don't know, and it was and the incorporation of like the actual like celebrity guest stars was so.
Oh, it's great.
I mean,
No, it was
John,
like like talk show for kids.
Yeah, dude.
You could find out about some of the big. You were talking to some of the biggest artists, whoever was popular, the actresses, actors of our time.
And the music was so good, dude. One of the first records I had.
Rainbow Connection.
Yes, dude. But how about? I hope there's something better comes along from the Muppet movie. I mean, I think it's Joe Raposo. He wrote a lot of the Sesame Street Muppet Show music, and then and I think all the wrote Rainbow Connection, but that whole Muppet movie album, I mean, there's a song that Gonzo sings called I Hope to Go Back There Someday. It's like, it's gorgeous music, dude.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were, having the Muppets sing these songs and having them sound so good, I was like, Jesus Christ. And then when they were riding bikes and the Great Muppet Caper, again, it was just shit that really made me go.
I can see that. It's funny like that you mentioned the Muppets, because having watched you perform for the last like 10 years, I mean, with just the voices that you do when you're talking like a dumb fuck, where you're like, you have like, and the songs and everything, that's a lot of stuff that I could see you pulling from being inspired as a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, dude, my first, even after seeing Sinbad, my mom bought me a VHS called Hey, You're As Funny as Fozzie Bear, which, man, that's a bold statement for Fozzie, by the way, very selfless, just to be like, hey, I'm going to teach these kids how to do stand-up talking to the TV. Remember when there were tapes like that, when it was like and so basically Fozzie would go, hey, hi. He wouldn't say, don't put down the Pop-Tarts, you fat fuck. But he was just like, hey. And then you'd be like, hey, Fozzie. And they had timed it out to where you would talk back.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, want to learn how to do stand-up? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, all right, follow these. Like, what's your name? And you're like, Adam. And the pauses, were timed out just enough to where you could feel like you were having a conversation.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'd say it a little too fast, so he'd be like, he's like, what's your favorite thing to do? And you're like, I like, well, so like my best friend's like, that's cool. And you're like, I didn't even finish what I said. Yeah.
I feel like you're bullshitting me, Fozzie. The fuck,
Are you
dude?
even paying attention, man?
Yeah,
These
dude.
are my dreams. Hey, you're as funny as Fozzie Bear. Hey, you're as much of a dick as they said you were on the back of the VHS.
All right, that then goes into the second track on the record, Tonight. I'm starting to love that thin production on this record. So here, play the guitar solo at 117. Dude, I love this. Like, this is where now I'm starting to really, by this point in the record, this is where I'm really starting to feel it. It's a bluesy boogie that starts the run of American teenage rebellion songs, because that seems to be the big subject matter. The subject matter of kids wanting to get out of school to go party and have fun had already been well-minded by Chuck Berry, the Beach Boys, and a bunch of other musicians. But what sets this one apart is what's buried in the verse after the first chorus. The terrifying reality that school-age boys in the late 60s were experiencing was the threat of the draft that could send them into the raging Vietnam War. Peter, play 28 seconds in real quick. Well, Tuesday got the letter. The Army thinks I better get myself down there right away. It's not that I'm lazy. I'm just too crazy to go and doing things that way. What were some of your childhood fears?
Oh, man. Not making it into the NBA.
That was really something you were afraid of.
No. You're so delusional as a kid and feel like you're so invincible that I don't know. Even when my folks split, I wasn't like, I was like, oh, cool. I still get to see Dad, so that wasn't like really a concern. I mean, dude, look, like making your family, your folks proud. Like, I knew how much of a gamble it was to like jump into this business and come down here. And as much as you want to be headstrong and like have that delusional confidence of like, I fucking got what it takes. It's like, yeah, that was early on. And even when I was like doing plays in high school and even in middle school and started to realize like, oh, I think I'm going to try to fuck with this like for a career. Yeah, dude. I mean, the ultimate, when you're coming up in an area too in Lake Forest Park, Washington, when I don't think we had anybody who been in the business.
Yeah.
We had a few athletes that kind of did something, but nobody that was like, oh, this guy's from there. So, oh, you can reach out to their family because you know their family because you grew up with their younger brother. And so they can give you some insights into how to get an agent or whatever. Just nothing. So it was, so even more trepidation on just being like, oh, can I even do this? Because I feel so far removed. So that fear was pretty early on because there was so much, I don't want to say lack of support, and none from the family because they were just also delusional with me. But there were enough people that were like, you're going to do that, huh? Wow, that's a lot of that, dude. And looking back, you're like, Jesus Christ, these are supposed to be like my friends and friends' family and family of friends that were all just like, wow, it's a tough business. You're going to have a lot of, and then they give you the whole, like, you got to have a lot of this. And you're like, oh, yeah, please tell me what I have to have, Larry French,
yeah,
you know?
What do you do again?
Yeah. But so, yeah, dude, and that fear, I think, still is there, which I think now helps when you get older. You can control the
for sure, yeah,
the insecurity of not hitting and getting the success that you, however you view it. But now I use it more as fuel to the fire.
All right, this goes into Teenage Lust. This song is amazing. Now, while the hippies,
one of my faves,
while the hippies were singing about making free love amongst the beautiful flowers, this is the horny truth. I read that this song is the age-old story, like the Rolling Stones' Satisfaction and the Who's I Can't Explain, of wanting to get some and not knowing how. What I love about this is you can hear damn near every teenage boy and some girls who started a rock band just to get laid. And I think this little passage right here sums the whole song up. Peter, play 2 minutes in.
Come on, baby, this teenage lust is driving me crazy. I gotta have it, baby, I can't do without. When I get the feeling, I got to work it out.
I feel like I've said that same thing a million times. Come on, darling. Come on, baby. My teenage lust, it's driving me crazy. You said this was your favorite.
One of them, yeah. This and another one I'll speak to. But yeah, I mean, again, who can't relate to the lusty teenage years, you know?
What were you like? What was your teenage dating life like?
Well, 6th grade, I remember I was dating a girl named Janet Matta. And first girlfriend, we would talk every night on the phone for probably 4 to 5 hours, listen to the Lion King's Can You Feel the Love Tonight, and fall asleep together in separate beds, in separate houses. But I was playing with myself. No. But so she was first girl, and I was in love, man. It's so crazy to even think back at that age, like what else you're doing and thinking. But it's also the start of true, I don't know if it's lust, because I definitely was more concerned about having a 4-hour conversation with her than performing cunnilingus on her.
Oh, dude, I was all about the long phone calls back.
But that
in
was
the day.
That was our version of lust, and that was I don't even know if I probably got. I mean, dude, it was I remember starting to be like, whoa, like fucking thinking about wanting to see her naked and things like that because, but not wanting to. Didn't have enough, again, chutzpah to follow through on making that happen. But I was just like, but yeah, lusting and love, I think they were intertwined. 7th grade, obviously, that's middle school, so you start to get a little more savvy to what's going on. You're also surrounded by people that are just doing a bit more. Jesse Mosé.
Oh, Diedrich Calvin. Diedrich Calvin, dude.
They are going to be in the Young Fuckers Hall of Fame.
He was downstairs. We were at Lindsay Kelly's house, and Diedrich Calvin was downstairs with Lindsay, and then they came up after like 20, 30 minutes, and we went down there, and it just smelled like budussy, like booty, dick, and pussy. It was like...
Dude, Jesse Mosé wore a wife beater and like jeans. He was like 6'2" in the 7th grade. He was the 8th grade. I was 7th grade. And he had this weird cartoony goofy walk. So in my head, I'm like, dude, is that what girls are into? This guy with fucking like kind of a mullet and he walks like a cartoon character, but he's apparently just crushing.
Yeah.
Donnie Thompson, another kid that went to town and told about it. And, we
had Bobby Villani.
Bobby Villani,
Bobby
dude.
Villani was dating a senior, and when he was a freshman, like that was huge.
That was
she
big.
was so cute.
Mark
too.
Bordner did that. Was a senior and dated a freshman. Who else, man? Mark Pantoliano. By the way, son of Joe Pantoliano.
No way.
The
actor from The Matrix?
And Goonies.
So let me ask you this.
So again, love was like, and lust, it was middle school, you start to really go, all right, now hormones are racing. I'm around people and hearing stories, and everything just feels a little bit more plausible. school dances. Dude, the first time I remember grinding on a girl was Brooke Alcart, who I just ran into fucking 6 weeks ago.
She's still doing it. That's what she does professionally.
She's like, remember Casey and JoJo? I was like, dude, do I? But it's like, dude, that time. So this song encapsulates, I feel like, truly a time when you'll never go through those types of feelings again.
Never.
Or feel that way again. Because it's so new and it's so scary. And it's like, you want to talk about a fear, hiding my boner to dance in front of Casey and JoJo and Brooke. Having the confidence to just be like, I got a message from Keith Sweat. He said I could put this on the back of your knee for 15 minutes, and then having the girl turn around and reciprocate and be like, okay.
That's the best.
There was so much humping that was not wet, dude. It was dry as fuck.
Dry as fuck, dude. I used to DJ middle school dances and high school dances, and let me tell you something.
Did you have to?
The middle school kids, 10 times more dry humpier than the high school kids.
So much humpier.
So much humpier.
Dude, did you have to intervene? Would you have to scream over the mic and be
No,
like, all right, next coming up?
They would want me to.
And by the way, Jason Rogers, if you could stop straight up fucking Kimberly Swanson. Her parents are here chaperoning. Don't think you knew that. Trying to give you a heads up. Coming up next, Jungle Boogie.
The only reason the way I would stop it is if a teacher would come up and say, yeah, that's enough of that music. Can you put on a little something? And you'd be like, all right, well, how about Who Let the Dogs Out? They're dry humping to Who Let the Dogs Out.
I can put on Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas. They're going to find a way to simulate penetration.
Life finds a way. Perfect way to describe that song, because that's the way that I felt. All right, the next song, Let Me Try. This one kind of sounds like the guy in the last song figured out the exact formula the chicks would respond to. Peter, play 327.
If you're lonely, let me try. Hey, let me try. Hey, yeah.
This Yearning Ballad of Understanding is the longest song on the album at a little over 4 minutes, and its slow pace gives a nice dynamic tempo shift between all the other frenetic tunes that barely reach the 3-minute mark. Great song, but the one thing I have to say about this song is I was waiting for it to kick in with some power. It's just that, that slow blues, which I love slow blues, but I just wanted a fucking great song.
I loved it. It's, and I know it did feel a little stagnant, monotonous, whatever you want, for a little bit. But once it goes into that, love that. So just the fact that I know that's coming around the corner made me deal a little bit, better with just the, because I'm like, here comes. I love that.
So let's take it to this. Have you ever gone crazy or done something crazy for a girl?
Oh yeah. I've written songs. Here's what's crazy I did. I was dating a girl after college who was living in New York, and I did long distance for almost 3 years, flying back and forth. I'd work at Universal Studios Hollywood, playing Wolverine, doing the Backlot tour, hosting the Fear Factor live show, where I said, what the fuck, after a guy projectile vomited on me and was scolded by my boss because you said fuck in front of 1,500 families and children. I was like, Michael, with all due respect, guy projectile vomited on me. What did you want me to say? Is that all you got? It's I literally was they're doing these weird, the Fear Factor live show was a fair play on the real, the stunts were not as crazy as all, but they'd find people in the park to win a T-shirt, which fucking they didn't know till the end. Otherwise, half of them would have been like, "The fuck! I just drank bull piss."
I just did all of that
raccoon
for T-shirt,
cum. Yeah,
and it's a small.
Yeah.
You don't have a medium. It doesn't even fit.
So I would fly back and forth with all my Universal Studios money. It was crazy, dude. I was barely getting by taking all my money and putting it into flights to go. And cabs and all that to go see this girl for 3 years, and then she ended up moving to Reno. We did a little bit there, and then she fucked a camera guy, and that was that. And it was a top story. No.
All right, that brings us to Looking at You. This was a cleaner remake of the band's second single from their 1968 album, and I love this song. Play the first guitar solo at 32 seconds. I love all the guitar solos in this song. Now, the aptly nicknamed drummer, Dennis Machine Gun Thompson, rattles in with a quick drum fill into fuzzbox guitars and shakers and another insistent and angular vocal. This is about being on stage with the lights and sound and thinking it's all enough until you see that person in the audience that feeds you a higher dose of energy and makes you see that there's more. Tell me your favorite moment you've ever had on stage because of the audience.
So I did a gig in Paso Robles with Brett Riley. He was living up there for a while, and then he went back to produce a show at the in the upstairs of a bar, and it was a rowdy. It was my first like bar show, also first show that wasn't a bringer show or a open mic. That was like a paid audience in a place where comedy was not happening. They were fired up. About 300 people packed in the upstairs of a bar that they had really, made conducive for comedy. You know, any sort of bar show, you're like, TV's got to be off. There's got to be good sound. People got to be respectful.
No daiquiris being made.
Yeah,
nothing with a blender.
Exactly. No, and the bar should, hopefully people are sitting there and not just turned around talking loud and being respectful. And it was all that. And so I go up and I'm doing about 30 minutes, which is the most time I've ever done. And again, I work at Universal Studios, so a lot of my material is about working there. And people are getting pretty fucked up, and wine and booze and everything's flowing. And this woman in the corner, the crowd was so rowdy, but then they were so like respectful. It was a really crazy blend of them being, if they wanted to fucking laugh really hard, and then, you know, you do a little crowd work, it would get a little rowdy, but then like, if you dealt with something, it would kind of get controlled, and they'd level back out and be like, all right, give us more jokes. So it was weird. It's just exciting. And this woman in the corner kept being real obnoxious towards the last like 8 minutes of my set and starting to slur and yelling some stuff. And then at one point she was like, can you give me a kiss? And I was like, should I give her a kiss? And everybody's like, fuck yes. I was like, Jesus, the people have spoken. So I walk over there. She like just weirdly slobbers, kind of just licks the side of my face. I made some crass, joke about like, well, I think I just got gingivitis and AIDS in one lick, some so stupid and blue, and people ate it up. And then I go back, and she could feel that the laughter was definitely directed towards her. So now I walk back to my spot. She's about 15 feet away to my left, and I'm looking down, thinking about my next move. And I see her kind of do like a downing a drink real quick, and then I see her hand slowly raise up with her wine glass. And it was like one of those things you see in the in your peripheral vision, and you're like, can't completely register what's happening. So I'm still kind of looking down and be like, what? This is crazy, thinking of my next thing. And then I just see, before I can really determine what is happening to my left, I just see again in the corner of my eye that motion, like the raising of a hand with a glass, and then the chucking motion. And I'm like, holy shit, I think she just threw a wine glass at me. And again, didn't even have the wherewithal to like turn or duck. I just, fight or flight, you react. You know how you're going to react to that.
Sure.
I just kind of put my hand up like that, and the fucking base of the wine glass, swear to God, Brett Riley can attest to the story, which was on tape. The base of the wine glass hits the like palm of my hand, and somehow like the circle base of the glass like sticks to like the webbing of my hand. So basically sticks for half a beat. So all I have to do is just be cognizant enough to close my fist around it so that I snab a fucking wine glass out of midair. So once I do that,
Neo?
it just goes like boom, and then I went like that and grabbed it. And then when I realized I grabbed it, I slowly turned to it, like couldn't even plan my reaction. I just like was like that, and then I felt people go, "Oh shit!" And then I just went, "Ah!" and held the wine glass up, and everybody just goes, "Fucking!" It was like the roof blew off the fucking bar, dude, and everybody went nuts. And then I started to do a little weird dance, and then people were laughing, and I was holding it up, and I was like,
and then you just ate the glass.
And you go, "Oh, not what we expected! Don't do that!"
I'm from Fear Factor Live.
So I walk over to her, I set the glass down in front of her, and I go, "I told you I'm Wolverine, bitch. Don't fuck with me." Place goes nuts again, and then they escorted her out, and I did about 3-4 more minutes, and then that was that, dude. And it was, again, the crowd was. We've all had some crazy crowds since.
It's
but
palpable.
Like,
the energy in the room was special.
Dude, it was unreal, and they were so on my side. And again, being that inebriated, but that collective and like on board with everything, and so to where it wasn't just that should have been drunk mayhem after that. But I was still able to do a few more minutes and close out and be like, this was And it was also the first taste of outside of LA show.
Sure.
Which is big. People don't understand when you're getting going in stand-up, you need those reps that are outside of your bubble and what you've been doing. Because also you're like, I'm sure there's a part of me being like, dude, if I can make the people of Paso Robles laugh, what's next?
I can make it anywhere.
I can make it anywhere.
All right. That goes into high school.
Classic anthem.
Classic. Play 6 seconds in, brother.
Come on. The kids want a little action. The kids want a little fun. The kids all have to get their kicks before the evening's done.
I know this is hard to believe, but this is another school kids want to get their kick song. Great song. Not my favorite on the record. It does have the sis boom ba part on it that we love. Can we play a little bit of the sis boom ba?
Run, run, run. Sis boom bar.
High school ba 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 ski doo ba da la.
Sis
Oh, that's
boom
great.
ba.
That's
Again,
great.
I love a sis boom ba, and I love the playfulness. I mean, even like the school's out for summer. There's so many like the vibe of. Is this, again, I'm trying to remember like the lyrics, but is it speaking to like the end of high school? Is it just high school in general?
No, well, it's really, here he goes. The only way, they only want a little excitement. They like to get a little out of hand. I think it's just about, when you are just wild as a kid, because that was exciting.
It was.
You know what I mean? Those were some of the best times of my life.
You feel invincible.
Exactly.
It'd be great if you heard kids getting into like this is like if there's somewhere in 2020, the end of high school, kids putting this on, driving away from school,
This is, you know what, you made a good point. This, now that I hear this and now that we've talked about it, this song is a montage song in like a 1970s teenage romp.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of like, it could have been in fucking Dazed and Confused, like with the paddles when they're like chasing the kids down.
Yeah.
It just has that vibe to it. All right, Call Me Animal. I love this song.
Yeah.
Play 18 seconds in.
Call me animal. That's my name. Call me animal. I'm not ashamed. Call me animal. This is your hour. Call me animal.
This to me sounds a little bit like The Who. From what I've heard of like early Who, this has a very Who feeling. It's not, it's not as memorable, but it's still a good song.
It was.
Now, here's my question for this. If you died and can come back as any animal ever, which one would it be?
Chester Cheeto. Next question.
Okay. I mean, I don't need it follow
Dude,
up.
if I want to be an animal, I also want a job, and I also want some sort of branding opportunity.
You're a fucking genius, dude. Because I would have been like, I want to be a rhinoceros or some shit like that.
No,
and you're
dude.
like, no, dude.
Well, that's the PC answer.
Yeah.
I want a chain smoking, raw dog fucking snack tiger.
Dude, Chester Cheetah was a fucking player. He fucked Lil Debbie. You know he did.
Who do I want to party with? Also would be Chester Cheeto. Who do I want to name my kid after? Chester. And then he goes, who am I named after? I go, sit down. It's going to be a long Valentine's Day.
All right. That then goes into the American Ruse. This great song, incredible. It's political, it's rebellious, it's smart, it's angry, it's thoughtful, and it's woke as fuck. Like you can tell from the lyrics. These lyrics just like as soon as I heard them, they just made me think. Peter, play 105.
Only stars. Oh no. Comic cars. Oh no. Cheap guitars. Oh no. Joe's primitive bar.
All right, Shakin' Street. This sounded nothing like anything that I had ever heard by MC5. I almost had like a Bob Dylan feel to it.
Totally.
Peter, play the
call.
first verse.
Little Fandanny, sweet soup too. They've been coming around, gives them something to do. And mama's all want them not to come to town. It got into the blood, now they gotta get down.
All right, so the reason why it has that Bob Dylan sound to it is because it was written and sung by guitarist Fred Sonic Smith. It's about a utopian place where all the kids can meet and keep on rocking.
It's where they're leaving when they're sis boom bon out of high school. Where are they headed? To Shakin' Street, baby. I love the idea of a destination where everything's happening,
I
it's
mean-
like in London, when I studied abroad there, they had a place called Camden Town, which was like the street of shops and restaurants. There was a fucking Virgin record music store, but then there was a cool kebab place and a weird corner where I tried to buy weed from a guy. Turned out to be ecstasy, stole my money. The ecstasy turned out to be like fucking, I think, Flintstones vitamins. We just got, but I just love the, what did it say? It was like Shaking Street has got that beat.
Shakin' Street, it's got that beat. Shakin' Street, where all the kids meet. Shakin' Street, it got that sound. Shakin' Street, say you gotta get down.
Yeah, dude. Also, the idea of just shaking, that was their way of describing that things are. Because
Everybody in the band was epileptic. Everybody.
But you know what I'm saying? They're like, it's like, what's shaking? Like, people used to say that. Like, what's shaking tonight? Or like, oh, you're shaking. Man, this party's shaking. Like, where? Dude, where do you think? Shaking Street, man.
All right. We got 2 songs left, and I think they saved 2 of the best songs for the end of the record. We've also come to what I think is the best song title on this record, The Human Being Lawnmower. It's great. This last original on the album is harrowing and horrifying.
Sounds like what happens after you tried a human centipede and it didn't work out. They're like, well, what else do we do?
Lawnmower them off.
How many people are here? 15? We could do the lawnmower.
Well, what I liked about this song is that it felt like several different musical ideas kind of spliced together.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I can't believe that they got all this shit in under 2.5 minutes.
I can't believe it's not butter.
Because that's funny. Because they take you on this roller coaster ride. Now, it's about the military-industrial complex with a little dig at the Bible thumpers as well. Once again, imagining the cloud of fear hanging over every young man's head at the time of being sent to war really must have done a number on them. Wow. The climax of the song, where the title is introduced, followed by the staccato and brutal description of its violent destruction of the innocent, is a gut punch. Peter, play 202.
Till you're standing before the human being lawnmower. Chop, 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 chop.
I mean, that's just intense.
Yeah, that's got a lot of fucking aggression.
A lot of aggression. Have you ever gone into fights?
Oh yeah. Man, first fight I ever got into was I was with my buddy's soccer team in Austria, and it was maybe a few months after 9/11, and these guys were like taunting us because they knew we were American, and then it was like this big street fair, and it was like at night, and everybody was fucked up, and this guy started chanting like Bin Laden, and all that, and dude, I mean, again, we're like high school amped up hormones, emotions, but also like very patriotic at this point, and just like fucking, like, it was just crazy.
It was really intense in America at
oh
that time,
yeah,
I
dude,
remember.
and people that were even not, because you felt the unity that happened in the country. So and you also kind of felt it all over the world. You're like, everyone just was, grieving for what happened. You felt like on the same wavelength, and then all of a sudden, people that were coming at you and like kind of like supporting it. It was just like, oh man. And I remember these guys were just in our face, and I remember just saying, like, I was like, dude, you gotta just stop, or like, this is not gonna go well. And I was just the right amount of drunk to control my emotions, but also like be like, fuck it, dude. Like, so I was like, dude, if he says one more thing about like fuck America, I'm just gonna like lose it. And he did. I kind of tried to like turn my body, and it was like, and he just did. And I just turned in one motion. Didn't even like think to like clench a fist or whatever, and just turned and fucking connected right with him, and fucking knocked back. Didn't knock him out, but like, man, it fucking, I mean, it hurt so bad.
Sure.
But connected right in his face, man, like right on the like right here on top of, like, in his temple and in between his eyes, and felt good. And then his 2 buddies jumped on me, and then it was just like there's so many people, so it was like it didn't clear the whole party out. Yeah. But then our buddies started fighting, and we all kind of had an Austrian street scuffle,
Fuck
if you will.
yeah.
It was kind of cool, man, looking back. But it was also like, yeah, I mean, what was I? It was crazy to not have control of that. There was no part of me that was going to be like, let's just go back to the hotel room. These guys don't.
I know you were amped.
These guys don't mean it. They're probably talking about Ben Laden, not Bin Laden. So yeah, so that's I mean, in a few fights with buddies since, but nothing.
You're just,
nothing
I don't see. I mean, I know that you can fight, but I just don't see it. Like, you don't seem like you have anger in you.
It's also like, I just know I've seen and heard of like fights that where things have just gone so poorly for people, like facial fucking, or kidney things happen where you're just like, and afterwards, and the people are always just like, yeah, like no one's ever pumped about, like, I'm glad I did that. So if there's ever a moment where, unless it's family related, dude, I probably won't even think twice about it.
Yeah.
but also this day and age, it's like I get apprehensive to even honk at somebody if they fucking cut me off.
Oh,
like,
it's anytime you get. I don't give
I
the
go to
finger
worst
anymore.
case scenario to someone just turning around with an Uzi, being like, "Was that your Hyundai Sonata?" I don't drive a Sonata, but I just want to give him a shout out.
All right. The album ends with "Back in the USA," the title song. Play 17 seconds in.
Well, I feel so good today. We just touched ground on an international runway. Just propelled back home from overseas to the USA.
They end the album with a pretty faithful cover of Chuck Berry's 1959 song. It's a little bit on the nose, but given that the Beatles sort of parodied it in Back in the USSR just a couple years earlier in '68, it could have been freshly on the band's mind to flex their patriotism despite their views on the U.S.'s many flaws. Fun way to end the record. Thoughts on this song?
I mean, look, again, we've had a handful of USA anthems over the years. I put this in my top 2 for sure.
Fuck yeah, dude.
"Party in the USA" by Miley is.
It's number 1 for you?
It's not number 5.
Okay.
It's not number 1. What other ones are there even?
We're Coming to America by Neil Diamond.
Oof, that's good.
That's like might be my number 1.
And if you're going for the patriotic
Then
angle,
you can be proud to be.
be American.
Where at least I know I'm free.
This one though also feels like a good, like, I don't know, end of a, like end of your comedy special, walking off, thanking people, like
Sure.
a fun, or the opening song at like a, if like, do you ever have skating parties in elementary school, or even just the 2 songs before the before they were going to put on SWV, Weak in the Knees, for like, hey, this is a girls ass guys,
Yeah.
There was like 2 songs before that. There was one more big pump up one where everybody could have a good time. The dads could grab their stepkids and the mistresses could, fucking hold hands with a teenager and everybody was okie dokie.
Okie dokie, splokey. Do you want to do some facts and we'll get out of
Yeah.
here? All right. Facts, all facts. Facts, all facts. Besides political groups and riots, the band even attempted to start their own religion called Zenta. It was during the 2 nights of Zenta's New Year of 1968, which we all recognize as that year's Devil's Night and Halloween, that they recorded their first album, Kick Out the Jams. What hijinks did you get into as a kid? Did you like egg houses or teepee or?
Oh yeah, got teepeed more than I teepeed, but
Really?
we got into a good teepee war with Aaron Zabukovec, and yeah, she was the first boobs that I touched. She was the first boobs that I touched, but not with my hands, with my chest. She was the first boobs that I touched. Because it was the 8th grade dance.
Yeah.
And she was like, I think I was maybe, I don't know, 5'10" in the 8th grade, and she was 6'3".
Jesus Christ.
Maybe 6'2". That sounded big when I said it. She was fucking
6'3".
Sasha Vujacic size.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say that's
tall.
Brittany Grenier,
Yeah.
the fucking girl that plays for doesn't she
Yeah.
play for the Seattle team?
No, for the Suns, I think. The
Okay.
Mercury. Dude, look, how do I
Look
know
at
that?
you. You know the
Brittany
WNBA.
Griner. Yeah. We were dancing, and she was like, her boobs were like they were just right at chest level. But she and 3 other gals, Nicolette Dresbach, Diana Kiefer, and Nikki Cox. Yeah, they were like the hot 8th grade girls, man. And they had crushes on a couple of my buddies that lived in my neighborhood, and Dinah lived in the neighborhood. So they would go over there, and then we'd be at one of our houses, and we would all kick it, and then we'd disperse. Some of the girls, I think Barrett Speller got a hand job from Diana. Anyway, dear diary. And so then they would teepee my house always. I don't know why. My mom was like, it's because they like you. Now go out and clean that shit up. But Mom, it's 5 a.m. Get the fuck
Get
out
the
there.
fuck out there.
Also, it's just my mom and I, and we had these fucked up trees that just dumped leaves like they were fucking, almost like they were just like, is that the Jew house? Fucking like anti-Semitic trees that were just like fucking because it was our house.
Who's our
always had-
gardener? Breitbart?
we always had so many leaves. And my mom made me rake all that shit, and just bags and bags. And they would always time it out to right before we would take these bags of leaves to the dump. They would teepee the house and then empty and there probably was 23 bags of leaves, dude, all over the house. Oh, was my blood bubbling, dude. If they had said something about Bin Laden, I would have fucking punched them in the... It was like, I was fired up. And so I was working at Albertsons, right? Just started working there. And I went down. I was like, fuck it, guys. We got to retaliate. And we went down, and I go to my manager, Eddie Lord. Shout out to Eddie. You're the man. And still's the man. And I go, dude, I got to get revenge on Zabukovec and the girls of the 8th grade. And he was like, say no more. He's like, what do you need? I was like, I need like 230 rolls of toilet paper. And he's like, got it. I mean, must have paid. I think he pulled out some coupons where it was just like, oh, you had the fucking 2 for 535 toilet paper.
That's hysterical.
You know? And so we get them all, and we walk in the middle of the night from Avery Garmeyer's house, which is across the street from mine, to her house, and teepeed every one of these fucking 235 rolls. And she had big-ass trees, and we were so good at throwing it up and getting them to catch and come back. And they stopped teeping after that.
That was
because it was devastating. And I mean, they were at school, and they were like, why would you? How could you do that? And I was like, you guys dumped bags of leaves on my house. Like, you fucking, it took me 2 days to do that yard work, and you undid it all in one sitting. And they were just like, how could? And I was like, hey, tit for tat. Like, are we done? Like, are we good? And then they stopped, and then I think we did some egging. We also did the driving by and picking up the garbage cans outside of my mom's minivan, and then dragging them for a little bit and throwing them into another garbage can.
Yeah.
Harmful shit. I mean, harmless stuff. Looking back, like, hey, man, you woke up and your garbage can is 9 houses down and all the contents are exposed, you know? And who knows what was in that can. Maybe that was where the dad was like, hey, I put the... You know,
throwing out his old Playboys,
and he was like, and I told my wife I wasn't having, pot pies, and like there was 16 boxes of Marie Cal's in there,
All right. After opening for musician and poet Patti Smith, MC5 guitarist Fred Sonic Smith hit it off with her, and the couple were married in 1980 until his death in 94. Besides collaborating musically, they had 2 kids together. Their son Jackson Smith was married to Meg White of the White Stripes from 2009 to 2013. Who is the most interesting person in your family?
Oh, man, interesting. I mean, the mom's the coolest. She just because she's a G, a single mom, 4 jobs from fucking 8th grade all the way through high school. Once she married my stepdad, always wanted to be an actress, so she was living vicariously through me. Started doing all this community theater in Seattle because my stepdad was like, I got you now. Go fucking do what you wanted to do,
Yeah.
Because my grandpa didn't tell her not to, but just was like, you can be able to support yourself, so it kind of discouraged her from doing it. So she ended up doing all these weird shows, did the vagina monologues like 8 times, then stopped and said, I'm done. I'm vaginaed out, she even said. And then she fucking, this rep theater that was a little bigger called her, and she came back. And I was like, Mom, you're like the Brett Favre of vagina monologues. You retired. They called you to come back for
Tina's injured.
For what?
We need somebody.
If you haven't seen your mom do I don't know what it's called, but something about like, my wet pussy's flooding with... I'm paraphrasing, but it was a graphic monologue. And I'm sitting there with my sister, and we're just like... But my mom was so good, which was fucking awesome, because it was like, oh, man, she's put in... But she just doesn't... I see where I get it from. She's natural, but also, you like, for a second, you get lost in the...
my juicy lips
you're like...
encompassed his
It was a trade-off.
penis.
It was a trade-off of her being like, and I didn't think... times when your life where you second guess and you're so locked in, you're like, God damn, Mom is crushing it.
Yeah.
And that's when both my pussy lips said, well, they clap together, and your pussy lips can clap if you work hard enough. And you're just like, God damn it, Thanksgiving will never be the same again.
Give this woman the Tony.
Give her a Tony.
She deserves it.
Give her yeah. So
your mom.
I think so, dude. She just biggest champion, and also later in life, she's just like, when you stop seeing your parents as parents and see them as people, dude, it's so much more fun. And thank God I was able to do that. Wish I did it earlier, and wasn't so too cool for school in high school.
But you got it. It doesn't take a difference when it hits you, but just it hits you.
Yeah.
That's great.
So my mom, man, she's a G. Interesting, fascinating, hilarious, and kind.
Oh, I love your mom.
Yeah, she loves you.
But I have to say this because
you hit on her at the goddamn comedy.
We're in Seattle doing here. Hold on. We're in Seattle doing Bumbershoot, and I'm on stage and we're doing the jam.
It's
and
right after
Adam's,
Tiffany Haddish had done.
Tiffany went up.
Roland,
It was you, Dan St. Germain, and Tiffany.
Yeah.
And I'm on stage. I think Adam, either you. It was the big finale,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
And smaller crowd because we were going up against like Tame Impala.
Yeah.
And so it's the final song. Everybody's standing. I'm getting everybody's like feeding off their energy. They're feeding off mine.
was great.
And there's this adorable woman wearing red glasses like
late
Bruce
60s.
Valanche. Sitting in the front, like rocking, and I just point at her and go, "I'm gonna fuck the shit out of you."
and I don't think she.
And she was just like, "Yeah." She didn't.
Let me check with George.
She didn't say anything. She was like, "Fuck yeah!" And then you like leaned over. You go, "That's my mom," and
Yeah.
I go, "Fuck yeah!"
Yeah. Oh, yeah, dude.
All right, final thoughts on the album.
Oh man, I'm glad it's back in my life, and I think it's going to be again, the timing of it all with my buddy passing. And trying to like make sense of all that and have things to latch onto and like pull from and find ways to honor. It definitely, in a weird way, is now because I, had been listening to it before it happened and after. So now it's kind of all wrapped together and kind of synonymous. And when I even just listening to it on the way over, and I'm still fresh into thinking of him nonstop, but they're definitely locked in at this point. So, I mean, you can't get more, have a piece of music be more, attached to you forever. But again, man, had that not happened, I still would have this album be in my top of, again, like driving, airport, on the way to auditions. Any song on this album, I think I would put in my wake up, start the day tune. And that to me says a lot about a piece of music.
Yeah.
If you want it to be the first thing, it's like in a relationship. If you look over and you like the person you see right away, that's a good sign. Same thing for a song. If it comes on and you're like, God damn it, or you're like, yeah, I'm ready to go. And I feel like every track on this album has that vibe.
I couldn't agree more. I think this is just pure rock, fun, in
Yes.
your face, yet like just.
I don't like to get too cerebral with my music.
No, it's just, but this song, everything on this record, it just goes into the next song perfectly. If you haven't listened to this record, listen to it because
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
It's all the fun.
This was great, dude. Thank you so
I
much.
had such a
buddy.
blast.
Thank you, brother. The one and only Adam Ray. For all things Adam, like his tour dates, head over to adamraycomedy.com. Find him at Adam Ray Comedy on all social media. Check out his podcast, About Last Night, with Brad Williams, anywhere you get your pods. It is a laugh riot kasplugel. Also, he has a new comedy music album coming out on December 13th. You can pre-order it starting November 29th. It's called Songs for the People. Adam is hysterical. Get the record, Songs for the People, out December 13th. Pre-order it November 29th. And if you want to see Adam and myself live doing stand-up comedy together, I'll be with Adam at the DC Improv in Washington, D.C. Go Nationals, December 27th through the 31st. I'll also be posting Adam Ray's Spotify mixtape. And for all things 500, like those mixtapes, you can find it at our website, the500podcast.com. Email the podcast at 500podcast@gmail.com and follow me at Josh Adam Myers on all social media. And also, please subscribe to the 500 on Spotify, or if you're listening to it on Apple, leave a review. Now, we just listened to MC5 from 1970. For new music this week, our music director Matt Pinfield selected Fever 333. The Fever 333 are a political three-piece from Inglewood, California, who were nominated for Best Rock Performance at the 2019 Grammys. They cite the MC5, Rage Against the Machine, Public Enemy, and Black Flag as their influences. Their new single is Burn It from their new album Strength in Numbers. Check out the link on our website, the500podcast.com. And if you're in a band and were directly influenced by one of these albums or artists and you want your music featured on the 500 website, send your song to 500podcast@gmail.com. Make sure you put the album and artist that influenced you in the subject line. Next week is Steve Miller Band Week with their 1976 record, Fly Like an Eagle. So y'all got some homework to do. Stay fleecy, be a cadoodle.